Our next speaker for TRiRODS is Tanmay Dewangan. He is a Keys intern at CyVerse at the University of Arizona, and his talk is entitled Populating CKAN Data Commons with iRODS Metadata. Take it away.
All right. Hello, everyone. As you just said, my name is Tanmay Dewangan, and I worked on a project under Dr. Nirav Merchant in the CyVerse lab, which is aimed at improving how scientists manage and share research data sets with CKAN Data Commons and iRODS metadata. First, I'll talk a little bit about what CyVerse is. CyVerse is a cyber infrastructure platform that supports researchers by providing the tools and the resources necessary to manage data sets and perform complex analyses. Now we'll go over some statistics about the files and the projects that are stored in CyVerse. The CyVerse data store, which is integrated with iRODS for efficient data management, is a massive storage platform designed to support the needs of researchers managing large-scale data sets. It currently hosts about 270 million files, which totals to about 7.2 petabytes. And it's an essential resource for, just securely storing and accessing research data. And also, the data store is very important to many projects, with about 270 projects which utilize its storage capabilities. And of those, 78 million files, which is 3.2 petabytes, are project-specific data. And then the CyVerse Data Commons makes data sets more accessible by offering a structured and standardized storage for research data that needs to be shared publicly or with specific communities. Currently, the Data Commons stores about 28 million files, which is 470 terabytes of publicly available data, and it supports 47 community release projects and 270 curated data sets for broader use. So what does this all mean? There is lots and lots of data. So the goal of this project was to develop a new method for scientists to share and access research data more efficiently, while also making sure that data management meets the unique requirements of federal agencies like the NSF, NASA, and the NIH. And these agencies have strict data sharing and management requirements, which often makes it very challenging to manage research data sets. And also, a bit of a side note here, I used data sets from the Drive Arizona project to test my methods because that project requires large amounts of traffic data to be stored and shared among its team members. So it was kind of a perfect fit to test my methods and to solve my problem. So first, to address these challenges, I started by creating a Python script specifically designed to automate the process of extracting and replicating the iRODS metadata from the current CyVerse data commons. And this metadata extraction process involved pulling detailed information about the data sets, such as their titles, their description, authors, keywords, and a bunch of other relevant attributes. And this metadata was then used to create a replica of the data set into CKAN, which is a platform which is designed for data management and sharing. And CKAN is advantageous because it allows data sets to be indexed by Google, which enhances discoverability, and CKAN also offers customization options tailored to the specific needs of researchers. Replicating these data sets into CKAN was extremely important because the CyVerse data commons lacks accessibility to the general public and other researchers that are outside of CyVerse and the University of Arizona. And it also significantly reduced the manual effort required to maintain these data repositories. So another aspect of my research involved converting those data sets into something called the Croissant and DCAT metadata formats. And these formats are really important for standardizing metadata, and they make it they make it a lot easier for other researchers to utilize these data sets. Specifically, Croissant is designed for machine learning data sets, and it makes sure that data sets can be understood and used by different machine learning frameworks. And DCAT, which stands for Data Catalog, is a W3C standard for describing data sets in a catalog, and it enhances the discoverability of data sets by providing a common structure for metadata. Overall, just by converting these data sets into these formats, the project ensured compliance with the federal agencies and their standards, and also enhanced the data set's accessibility and usability. So to enhance the efficiency of data storage, which was, again, a really big problem, I developed a Python script to convert specifically CSV files into something called Parquet files. And CSV files are not always the most efficient format for storing large amounts of data. But on the other hand, Parquet files are a columnar storage format, which reduces the storage space required for these data sets without sacrificing like data integrity or the accuracy of the data. And this conversion is especially beneficial for projects such as Drive Arizona, which I tested my methods on, which involves large amounts of traffic data specifically that need to be stored and analyzed efficiently. And implementing this conversion process makes data management more scalable and cost effective, while making sure that data sets can be accessed and utilized more effectively by the research community. So lastly, I integrated all of these functionalities into a user-friendly interface using the Gradio library, and I'll show a short demonstration after this. And this interface allows researchers to easily access and use the Python scripts that I just mentioned, which streamlines and makes it easier to manage and share the data sets with other researchers. So let me go to the tab. So this is how it looks like. So first, there's different like tabs that perform the different functionalities. So first is migrating a data set from the CyVerse Data Commons to the CKAN Data Commons. And another tab is generating the croissant and DCAT metadata format like files. And then you can also upload those croissant or different croissant and DCAT JSON files, and then upload that to create or replicate a data set into CKAN. So firstly, I'll just show a short demonstration here. I have a test username and then the password. So it goes through in the backend and makes sure that the password and the username are correct and that there is an actual account with this in the CyVerse database. And then now I can choose and I can put in a link to a data set from CyVerse Data Commons. So let's say I want, I'll go with this one. So and go here. I can paste this link over here. And then there's also an option to convert the CSV files that could be in this data set to Parquet files to make those CSV files more efficient and far less storage space. So let's say I check that off. And then I submit, and then it's going to go through my Python code in the back end. And hopefully this works. So let's just wait a few seconds. Okay. Wait, I'm just gonna try again. Okay, so it's saying that there's an error and that the URL is already in the CKAN. So what I can do is, so this is also the CKAN Data Commons, and there is a data set here that has the same name. So that's probably what the error is throwing, but it did create this data set from the original CyVerse Data Commons. So that's that aspect of the Gradio app. Next is generating the croissant JSON file. So again, type in the username and password, and then enter a link. So this time, I guess we'll use a different link. So let's use this one. Right. And then let it load for a sec. All right, so because this data set in the CyVerse Data Commons does not have any associated metadata with it, it is asking me for like the basic metadata, like the title, description, and the author, so that information can be put in that information can be put into the JSON file. So let's just say let's create an example title. So test title for Astrolab. Test code. Or test description, sorry. And then a random author like John Doe. So now it's going to go through and let me download the croissant JSON file. and then I can download it from here, let's say. And then that's basically the same thing with the DCAT, so it's just a little bit of different storage format. So I'll go ahead and do this as well. And you can use a different directory here, so let's say that one. And then again, it's going to ask me for the title, description, author, because it does not have any metadata in the CyVerse Data Commons. And I'll show that real quick again. So if you go to metadata, it doesn't have any attributes, but if you go to, let's say, like curated repositories, these will have metadata. Like, so these have the description, they have the title, they have a creator. So if I were to put this into the Gradio app, then it would not ask me for this additional information because it already found that in the metadata. So let's go ahead and put this again. Random. Okay. And same thing, it's gonna let me download a DCAT JSON file this time. And there you go. And now this is the part where you can take a croissant JSON file that you found online, or maybe that you generated from this Gradio app, and then let that replicate the data set into CKAN. So same thing, entering our username and password. And then I'll upload a file. Okay, so it says that the croissant JSON file is uploaded, but it does have some warnings associated with it. So the user can go ahead and look at these warnings and decide if they want to act on it and how they could fix it. So it was uploaded to CKAN, so we can go ahead and go back, and then the data set is there. And that's the same thing with the DCAT JSON file. You can upload a DCAT JSON file. It's going to verify that the structure is correct. It's going to give errors or warnings according to that, and then it'll replicate the data set into CKAN. So that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for letting me present. Does anyone have any questions?
All right, thank you. As he just asked, do we have any questions for Tanmay?
I have a question. That's really great. This is Terrell. I would like to know what was the biggest hurdle you hit? Because that's a lot of pieces to wire together. Did you know any
Yes.
of this ahead of time? Did you have to learn all of it? And then where was the biggest roadblock? You don't have to name
Yeah.
names.
So yeah. Yeah, I did know Python before this, so I was really strong in terms of the syntax and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The biggest roadblock I would say was creating this user interface and combining all of those different scripts that I created before into this one user interface so that everything works seamlessly and works as intended. So there was a lot of errors associated with like I guess making sure that the croissant and DCAT JSON files are validated properly, or that the program checks if the data set in CyVerse has those metadata that is really important for any data set, like the title, description, and author that I just saw. So those were some of the main hurdles that I encountered, but ultimately I did get over it.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks.
Do we have any other questions? All right, I have one.
Mhm.
You mentioned that if certain pieces of metadata are attached to the data set, right, the application will automatically extract and use that information. How does it know when when a particular set of metadata exists? Is there like a mapping that is using to look up different attribute names and whatnot?
Yeah, so yeah, there is a mapping. So what I did, there's APIs for CKAN and for CyVerse. So I took the API, I made an API call to CyVerse, and I told it, hey, get me this metadata for this specific data set. And then I can go through the metadata, or the program goes through the metadata and sees if, oh, is there a title associated with it? Is there a description associated with it, et cetera, et cetera. And then it checks for that. If there's not, then it asks the user to enter those, as you saw.
Right. Thanks. All right. And once again, thanks, Tanmay. That was great.
Thank you.